two of my friends got in this knockdown, drag-out fight where they started to threaten each other. And I was so just over it.
Just bust over the counter and just start taking money out of the register. Hello, this is Heisenberg White, and you're in for a real treat today on the Never Ever Show. With me today is my first ever cross-platform content creator. He's currently the president and founder of the Division I esports gaming team at Niagara University, and frequently streams on Twitch. You can catch his streams at twitch.tv/OnlyAyt, link in description, and the team's Twitch at twitch.tv/NiagaraU esports. Ladies and gentlemen, my friend Bryce is here with us today, and we are going to have a good time. How you doing, Bryce?
I'm fantastic, and yourself?
I'm doing pretty darn good. I've got a lot of free time these days now that obviously we're pretty much locked indoors, so been spending a little bit of time gaming, as I imagine you have as well.
In excess, some would say.
Lovely, good. You gotta stay sharp with that.
Oh yeah, gotta keep the skills on point, especially in the professional scene. Well, semi-professional scene.
Exactly. It's unfortunate that due to what's been going on, that your season is going to be cut a little short. But there's always steps and moves after the fact.
Oh, certainly. We're very excited to even continue going down the path we have. We've seen a stellar outcome so far this season, and what we are putting in as far as our work and our ethic has certainly changed over the last couple of seasons. We're seeing great output on our Twitch channel. We're seeing fantastic reception from our fans. We're really, really happy with everything that's going on right now.
That's great. Happy to hear it. I'm going to ask you a couple of questions here. They're going to be nonsensical, just random things that don't really connect with one another, but it's my attempt to get to know your personal taste a little bit better so I can recommend some things that I believe you'll enjoy. Are you ready?
Certainly.
Okay. Now, you've spent your time on Twitch, but I imagine you've also had somewhat of a history on YouTube, at least as a subscriber to somebody or as a content creator. I want to know who were some classic, 2006 to 2010 era YouTubers that you think defined your childhood at that point.
I think definitely it's hard to say that I can avoid it, but Shane Dawson, he's clearly blown up. When he was back in his older days, that was definitely somebody I watched a lot. Not so much anymore. Philip DeFranco, back when he was still under his original channel title of SXE Phil, definitely had some very fond memories of watching those shows growing up on my first iPod Touch. I would say Yogscast, though, is definitely the all-time favorite. I'm still subscribed to them. I still watch their videos regularly. I think that, they probably inspired me to do a lot of the, my own YouTube channel back in the day, way back in the day. They inspired me to play a lot of Minecraft, get really into video gaming, and really drove my passion beyond a lot of other YouTube channels that I watched at the time.
Do you think you'll ever have a presence on YouTube again, a significant one?
I've debated it. I've gone back and forth. I think that YouTube's a fantastic platform to get involved with. I think that the market is definitely very, very populated. I definitely have the materials. I had the time. As I continue to get older, it seems like that time is fleeting. Every day I spend my time, whether it's not gaming, it's focusing on something else, developing a new product, writing code, or working on esports as from an entrepreneurial standpoint, getting involved in the community. I think that YouTube is definitely a platform I want to move back to. I want to get back involved with it. I want to start making videos again, but having the time to create that content has always been a big hurdle for me.
Sometimes even, you probably more than ever have the means to do it, but you're right, the timing and finding time to put as much effort into something that you're really passionate about is kind of taxing and very difficult. So I understand, but post-graduation, man, the world's your oyster, and I'm gonna be surprised if you don't continue to pursue something like that. So you'll have the support of myself as well as many other listeners and people that are into esports for sure. So,
well, thank you. That means a lot. I'll be sure to keep you in the loop.
Next, I wanted to ask you this pretty simple question. What is the best vacation you ever went on?
That's actually a very difficult question for me to answer. Most of the time growing up, I didn't go on a lot of vacations. So I would have to say my best vacation was I had the opportunity to go down to Texas about 2 years ago and stay with my girlfriend who was working for AMD at the time, and I got to visit Austin, Texas. And it was a great time because I just really got to experience so much of a city and culture that I wasn't used to. I don't frequently leave the United States. In fact, I've only ventured to Canada and hope to venture abroad very, very soon. But, being in a different environment, especially one as arid as Texas, was a very stark contrast from my time I spent in Delaware and Buffalo.
Texas. That's definitely somewhere on my list of places I'd love to visit someday. How was the food?
Oh, it was fantastic. We went to a place called Chewy's. Definitely some of the greatest Tex-Mex I've ever had. There's definitely a bucket list or a plethora of places you should go. I can't remember everybody all at once right now.
God bless Mexican food.
Oh, certainly.
What is something that you've done that you're not very proud of, but is...
I would have to say the fantastic jump that I've made in my college career. When I had first started my college career, I started at RIT in computer engineering. I really thought that was my passion. I ended up leaving because of my academic performance at first, but I'm very proud of the fact that I was able to kind of fall from that grace of, hitting that. It's not easy for a lot of students to come from a school where they have this, academic disappointment under their belt, and then they can turn it around by switching schools and really putting their mind to work. I think that when I started at Niagara, it was a great opportunity for me to really explore my passions, and on top of that, really get in touch with what I cared about. So when I came to the school and I was able to start the esports program, I immediately saw my grades almost double. And I was fantastically impressed with myself to be able to turn it around like that in such a short period after my mom's passing as well.
Lovely. Okay, yeah. It was a wake-up call for me during my college experience, too, when after the end of my first semester, hitting sort of a rock bottom academically, and, time management was an issue, and it was that push that I, said I never want to do that again. That really motivated me to keep going. And, sometimes success can get a little comfortable, and you stop pushing yourself. Once you're comfortable with where you're at, you stop to push yourself to do better than you could be doing, and that's, I think, was the case with me in my early college experience. But I continued to push forward and do new things and get invested in new things and that I'm passionate about. So I understand what you mean by that, and that's really impressive, by the way, your story. Just that fate has brought us together is the coolest part of all of that. So I appreciate it, and I hope you've really enjoyed the last couple of years.
Oh, I do, and I'm looking forward to everything else that this has in store for me. I think that it definitely was a act of God in some aspects of what, where I am today, and I'm thankful that I am where I am. If I were anywhere worse, I'd be much more unhappy, and I think it's a reward for my drive in some aspects, and I also think that if it's a plan. It was a plan before I had the choice.
That's so cool. On a more, let's say, casual note, what is something that everybody you know has told you to check out, like a movie or a TV show, but you've still not got around to seeing for some reason?
That's actually a very good question. I think that a lot of people have told me to get into Dragon Ball Z or some sort of anime of some sort. And I've never really enjoyed anime as a whole, so I've never really given it the time of day. I remember being probably 6 or 7 years old, and Dragon Ball Z would come on TV, and I would watch it, and I had memories of it that were fond. I don't remember why I stopped watching it, but I tried to come back to it time and time again, and it was just something I couldn't really sink my teeth into, and I really kind of fell out of love with it, I guess.
Yeah, outside of maybe one or two, anime has never been my cup of tea either. So it's just not for me. But I'm not gonna, knock or shame the people that do enjoy it. I understand why. I like plenty of terrible things, so who am I?
Oh yeah.
What's been your greatest challenge when running an esports team?
The greatest challenge is every time that you're playing a game or you're attempting to form some sort of team. It's always making sure that there's coordination with students and players and teachers and administrators, and the list goes on. There's always different levels of understanding of what esports really consists of. And for a lot of students who end up joining and playing for the team, sometimes when they're coming onto the team, they have various understandings of what it means to be part of a team. Sometimes they don't have understandings of what esports is really like. And with that, it can really form a challenge. But one of the things that, as we have tried to develop and foster within Niagara University's esports program, is this opportunity where that's really not a stopping point for students. It's the ability to join the team and really start to form those essential bonds, because once you leave college, you're in the open world. It's not time to start learning how to be part. I mean, it's always time to start learning how to be part of a team, but you're not going to have the opportunity to really experiment with it. You have to form that integrity of a team bond almost immediately. There's no opportunity to kind of see how that develops. So with that being said, Niagara University Esports has had this kind of situation where we're watching teammates and players really grow together, and it's an awesome experience. We've seen alumni walk away and they realize that what they've experienced within the team and with the process of esports is something that they use almost in their everyday life, but they never would have thought that it comes from gaming.
I heard an impressive stat from you earlier, maybe you could repeat it, that since the implementation of this brand new facility they have on campus now, an esports gaming facility, your team has seen major improvements because they're able to work close quarters now.
Oh yeah, I think that the face-to-face ability to have conversation and sit with each other is huge. Our League of Legends teams have really, really stretched their legs this semester, and they're really hitting that full stride. I've seen much more work out of them. They're much more eager to talk and hang out with each other. There are times where I find out that they're having recreational time together as friends more so than teammates, and that's something that very rarely happens in some cases. I know that baseball teams and football teams are renowned for being this kind of unbreakable crew, and every movie and TV show really portrays it that way. And I'm really happy to see that as an esports organization, we're kind of fostering that same mentality, that pack mentality, and it's helping people. You're seeing this tremendous difference in coordination and understanding of teammates, whether it's just in League of Legends, but also Overwatch, and we're all growing closer together every day. I think that one of the biggest points that I stress for the team is that we are a family more so than we are a team. And that there will be situations where teammates have infighting and there's problems, but truthfully, after those problems are resolved, they typically get closer together, much like in a family you would. And that's a humongous kind of aspect of the way that I try to run the organization, is this kind of inherent understanding that you have to have trust. A lot of trust is the foundation for good teamwork, and that's really one of the biggest strengths that we have as a team, is this strong bond to be able to believe in each other and have faith in somebody having your back.
It's so cool what you've been able, and impressive what you've been able to do in the short time in the role that you've had. It's only going to go and grow more from here, absolutely, even after you've left, because of what you've been able to set up and establish. So it's happy as an alumni myself to hear that an organization that's pretty new to the scene Yeah, it is esports. I know it's been around much longer than a lot of people realize, but at least new to Niagara is still generating the same type of camaraderie and friendship that the other teams of the other sports have already established too. So that's very cool. Adds a little bit of legitimacy and to the league, I think. It's not just a bunch of dudes out by themselves. You know, it is a team.
Oh yeah, I think one of the biggest things that I always tell people is, you know, when you think e-athlete or gamer, you think of some guy sitting in a pile of, you know, Cheeto bags with empty bottles of Mountain Dew around him in his mom's basement playing, you know, games.
Well, that's just wrong, because that's what I do, and I'm not a gamer.
I always combat that by saying, you know, hey, I might live in my dad's basement, I might have, you know, a couple of energy drinks around me, but truth be told, you know, I game, but if you look at everything else that happens in my life, if you're thinking that I look like that, if you're thinking that that's this kind of stereotype is the only thing that, you know, you can imagine is that kind of, you know, stereotypical South Park representation, you're really limiting yourself. I ask you to look at some of the other professional gamers in this world and really, you know, understand that mold has been broken 5 times over, because Shaquille O'Neal, Offset, Terry Crews, Henry Cavill are all examples of gamers that if you know, try to push them into that mold, you're gonna fail ultimately.
Next, I would love to know, in this hypothetical scenario, if you could have attended a concert of any artist who died before you were born, who would you have liked to see and why?
I think that's a very difficult question, because honestly, a lot of the music that I listen to is so diverse, I don't know if I can really hammer it down, but I think someone I would have liked to have seen in person, I think it would have to have either been Mozart or Sinatra. I know those are, you know, 2 stark differences. I think my biggest reason for Sinatra is just, you know, recording technology now versus recording technology then. There's no comparison, and just hearing that voice in person would be outstanding. I think Mozart, it goes without saying that he's timeless, and being able to hear his work would have been amazing.
My dad got to see Queen and Freddie Mercury perform before I was born, and he loved shoving that in all of our faces.
Yeah, that would have also been impressive.
I'd like to know when your birthday is, and a little bit more about that. Can you tell me or remember your worst birthday experience?
So my birthday is in July. It's in the Dead Smack Center.
Wait, when is it actually?
July 15th.
On the 14th.
Oh, no way.
Wow, that's crazy. I had no idea.
Yeah, small world, right?
Yeah.
1 in 365 chance, right? Or 2 in
Just
365?
about, yeah.
I'm terrible at math.
July birthdays, woo.
Woo! I would have to say probably my least fond memory of a birthday was in my childhood. I had a party with my friends, and I remember we're all and this is gonna just really make you laugh. And we're all at my house, and we're hanging out in the basement. I lived in a townhome, so it was really the first floor, but we called it the basement. And 2 of my friends got in this knockdown, drag-out fight where they started to threaten each other. And I was so just over it, because the 2 of them really had no reason to fight, but they like started to get everybody else at the party to kind of take sides, and it was like somehow my birthday turned into a civil war, and it was ridiculous. So everybody ended up going home, and I think I had a few friends stay the night that night, and I just remember being like, that's what I got to. that was
Happy birthday to me.
Yeah. I got to have peace talks.
Yikes. How old do you think you were?
Oh, I had to be like 11 or 12 years old.
Oh yeah, big time hormonal change.
Oh, for sure.
Kids facing off against each other, establishing dominance like they're in prison.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
That's funny though. I can't believe our birthdays are so close. That's cool. We'll have to I'll have to get you something for your birthday.
Yeah, we can
And
celebrate.
now you can't say you forget mine.
Yeah.
Because it's right before.
That's true. That's very true.
Has anything unusual ever happened to you while sitting in a movie theater?
This is. I can't say that it has. I truthfully, I'm probably going to look really bad for this on this show, but I don't really go to the movies that often. So the times that I have gone to the movies, it's always been like one of those things where like I turn my phone off, I sit quietly, and usually I think, okay, I do have one thing, and that was I ordered popcorn one time, and the popcorn like bowl that I had gotten was extremely soggy at the bottom, and it wasn't from like butter or anything else. Like somebody had just like left this in a pool of water, and all of the popcorn had gotten soggy, and that's really the extent of it. It was disappointing because it was like holding a wet $20 bill, you know.
Are you a fan of Marvel movies, the MCU?
You're setting me up for failure here. No, not really.
Well, this just has to relate to it. No, that's fine. The reason I say that is because probably the weirdest thing that's ever happened to me was last summer, I want to say, or possibly the summer before, I guess. Wow. It seems like it was just yesterday. Ant-Man 2 was in theaters. Infinity War had just gone a couple of weeks prior, and now it was Ant-Man 2. And I was seeing it with my friend, who we go to see almost every Marvel movie premiere together. And in the beginning 5 minutes of the movie, Paul Rudd is playing with his daughter, and they're simulating like a heist, escape, tension, like sort of scenario where they have to escape, but they're all just playing in their house. And all of a sudden, we see some lights flashing and we hear sirens going off, and for about a split second we were like, wow, this is an impressively edited film to sound so real in this make-believe scene right now. But and then the movie stopped and we realized that the fire alarm had gone off, so everybody had to evacuate out the emergency exits, and we all waited around for like 30 minutes. I guess, I don't know, there was some sort of malfunction in the concession stand and some smoke started, but we went back and they started almost exactly where we left off, but we didn't know what was. We had like just sat through all the previews, and we were like, are we gonna have to sit through these all again? God damn it. But fortunately that didn't happen. They just picked it right back up. So that was bizarre. That was weird. We were on edge the whole time. We didn't know it was fire until the fire truck showed up. We're like, oh my god, somebody's in there, they're gonna kill us, we're gonna die. But no, it was 100% less serious than that.
Wow, that's crazy. That's like the stuff you hear about in movies.
Yeah. What's something you know more about than most people?
Oh, wow. I think the obvious answer would be esports, but in all honesty, I think I would say, if we're talking general population, I'd say computers, or just computing. I've been toying with, building, fixing, goofing around with computers since I was 12. I used to fix the original Xbox 360's Red Ring of Death. In fact, one time I had a sleepover and my Xbox had gotten the Red Ring of Death during the sleepover, and within an hour I had it completely fixed. So that used to be like my biggest thing. I think that honestly, after growing, I feel like I nearly know nothing. Like, you hit this kind of point where your knowledge, you hit this existential wall, so to speak, where you're like, I could go to school forever and I wouldn't nearly know as much as I would like to know. So I hope to learn more, and I hope to surpass that block.
Great. I think I've only got one more question for you. Now, you say you're not a person who goes out to the movies often. Are you somebody who likes to binge a lot of television? Yes,
I do binge a lot of TV.
So, I'm sure if you think hard enough, something is going to come to mind. But what is the show's series finale that disappointed you the most?
Oh, I don't even have to think. Game of Thrones. I was disgusted by that finale for a number of reasons, but Honestly, I think the biggest reason is because I'm biased and I wanted to see Tyrion sit on the Iron Throne, but I knew that the Lannisters would never be the final one on the throne. I was also hoping that things would have been a little bit more palatable, but they weren't.
So it just didn't sit right with me. I wasn't as nearly outraged as everybody else, but that's only because I really actually actively got into the program about a month before the final season began to air. So I binged it very quickly, so I felt like I was still let down, but only after maybe 2 months of watching, not years and years, which I couldn't even imagine.
Oh yeah, I mean I've watched it since my sophomore year of high school, so that would have been 2014. So it was this 5 years leading up to it, and it was just a letdown.
Oh well.
Yeah, that's a perfect way to describe it.
Okay, well, that's all the questions I had planned. Do you have any questions for me, or you think you have some ideas of things you'd like to recommend?
I think I have some ideas of what to recommend, because it's a TV show, a movie, and an album, correct?
Correct.
So, do you want to fire yours at me first, or should I fire mine at you?
Okay, I'll list mine first.
Yep,
Okay.
sounds good.
Great. So for music, have you ever heard of a group called the Moody Blues?
I have not.
Excellent. This is going to go great with the music answer about enjoying something like Mozart or Sinatra. It's a classic rock group, very experimental. They use a lot of orchestral tracks in their songs. All of their songs really flow together. It's very trippy, hippie kind of music, but I think you might enjoy it. It was something I got into in my late teen years, and this is something from the 60s and 70s that it's way past my time, but I still really, really enjoyed it. Everything that I listened to by them was fantastic. So that's what I'm going to recommend. I'll recommend a specific album for you in a moment. I'll look it up. The Moody Blues. TV. Have you ever seen Dexter?
I haven't.
The live action show, not the cartoon.
Well, Dexter's Laboratory was stellar, but I have not seen Dexter the TV show.
Speaking of incredible television shows with horrible series finale endings, I know that's already setting it up to be so good, but I probably fell the hardest into Dexter out of any other show I've ever watched. In that, like, I would go way out of my way to binge the show on Netflix as often and as long as possible. So I think, given your taste in some of the dramas and things that you've listed before, I think you'll get a kick out of it. It's sort of a drama. It has comedic elements to it, and it's a great premise. I think you'll enjoy it. So,
Okay.
have you seen Cabin in the Woods?
I have not.
Ooh, okay. So, I don't know what you think when you think of horror. This is gonna surprise you, this film, because it surprised just about every audience, because it was marketed as this film of a bunch of teenagers going into a cabin in the woods, that's the name, and everybody dies, and you think it's just a regular slasher film, but it is from the beginning, it's very obviously something else, and I'm not going to spoil anything for you, but I think you will really enjoy that. So that's what I'd like to recommend. Cabin in the Woods. That's a great movie. I haven't seen that in a while.
Okay.
I have to rewatch it.
Excellent.
And my last suggestion for you, something we could possibly even do together, on the Switch or whatever console you happen to use, how good are you at, say, Battle Royale games?
I'm very good at Battle Royale games. There used to be a game called Ring of Elysium, which came out, and I was ranked top 0.07% in the world. And then when I played PUBG upon first release, I was ranked in the top 0.25% in solos, duos, and squads.
Well, that's impressive, I guess, but I'm talking about the ultimate battle royale game.
Fortnite?
Tetris 99.
Oh, boy. I play on PC, but I would be happy to give that a shot.
Tetris 99 is free, by the way.
Ooh.
Free to play, and it's just Tetris, but the stipulation is every time you clear a line, it adds another line to one of the other 98 players, and every now and then you're going to get lines added to yours from the other players. So it's something I really, 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 really like to play a lot because I'm really good at Tetris, and that's about the only video game thing I'm really good at. I haven't gotten first yet. I think I've gotten second and third out of 99 is the best I've done. In the teams one, I've gotten first place a couple of times. So yeah. I just think that'd be something fun to do and something different to shake it up in your gaming library. Now, go ahead and offer up some television shows or movies that you think I would enjoy.
All right, so TV. I don't know, have you seen Tiger King already?
About 30 seconds. Is it really good? I'll check it out.
Yes, I'm going to make that my TV.
Everybody won't shut up about it, and now I feel like I'm not gonna like it because everybody else likes it. Except when it comes to this show, I've had a much more open mind for the sake of this show, checking things out. So I will go in with an open mind. What's it called?
Tiger King. It's on Netflix.
I was only a little uncomfortable with because I knew that they show a lot of like animal, a little bit of animal cruelty, which kind of bugs me a little bit. But I'm willing to move past that.
I will say this much. If you are one of those people who watches movies and is like, this can't get crazier, this show just like blows out of proportion this idea of what you understand about humanity and people, and the personalities and the portrayals of them are just, I mean, like, not even portrayals because these are real people. You walk away thinking that what you understand in this world is just turned upside down.
Holy shit. All right. That sounds... All right. I'm going to check it out. Sounds good.
My movie... Let's see. This is difficult because I've been tossing a few around in my mind, and I know that most of the movies that I will think about very frequently are typically classics for the reasons that, other than they're classics, but because I'm very stuck into them. I would have to say, I'm gonna go with. Do you watch a lot of Tarantino films? I'll ask that first.
I've probably seen about half of his library. If I can name off the top of my head every Tarantino film I've seen: Pulp Fiction, Django, The Hateful Eight.
Okay. So with that being said, I would recommend Kill Bill Volume 1.
Ooh, cool. I've always been meaning to check that out.
Yeah, I just showed both films in that series to my girlfriend, and it was, I forgot how good they were. I forgot the art direction. I forgot how just like immersive the experience is, and how he really plays into your senses in that film.
Sweet. Yeah, that's been on my list forever. And for whatever fucking reason, even though I love everything by Tarantino, I never got around to it. So, was Once Upon a Time in Hollywood, was that?
Yes, it's actually very, very... I love that movie. I got to see it in theaters. I
haven't seen that either.
That one of the few movies that I went out and saw in theaters.
Remember movie theaters?
I'm not even kidding when I say this. About solid 60% of the movies that I've ever seen in movie theaters have been Quentin Tarantino films. He's one of the few directors that I go out of my way to go and watch a movie in the theaters for.
I only ever go to the theaters to check out Marvel films. I don't go anywhere else. Video on demand and Netflix and streaming just makes it, there's a little bit of it that's lost, obviously, that you can experience in a theater, but I don't know. It's a hassle. It's expensive, too.
Oh, yeah.
Like, way more than it should be. Like, why is it $4 or $6 for one bag of M&Ms when I can go to 7-Eleven and get it for $1?
Oh, exactly.
Obviously, you do the right thing. You do the smart thing and just bring your own snacks in with you, but still.
You mean stealing?
Wait. Yeah, just bust around the corner of bust over the counter and just start taking money out of the register. That's what I mean.
Oh, yeah. It's free if you never pay anybody.
Exactly. How about music? What are some of your musical tastes? What do they like?
I am very... I've got a very diverse musical taste, I would argue.
As do I. I understand why it might be tricky.
I think that probably... So I have 2 albums from the same artist that I'll fire at you, and chances are you haven't listened to them in full. So I would argue the first is probably the album that has played the biggest role in my development as a person. If I tell you that I've listened to this album for a solid 1,000 hours over my life, I would be selling it short. It's The Heist by Macklemore and Ryan Lewis. I'm sure you've caught some songs off of it, such as Thrift Shop, Can't Hold Us. But those really just pale in comparison to what I would argue are some of my favorite tracks on that album, which, to be honest with you, would be White Walls and 10,000 Hours, I would argue, are probably 2 of the ones that stick with me the most.
Well, this is good. I know what you're talking about, but I have not listened to anything Macklemore past probably what you've already mentioned. So
yeah, so I would argue that if you were looking for, that would be my classic immediately, listen to it as much as possible. But if you've already heard enough of that and you need an alternative, I would go down the path of their newer album, which is This Unruly Mess I've Made. I think that as far as social messages go, This Unruly Mess I've Made is probably one of my favorite, albums of all time as well. I think it really covers this whole plethora of just mentalities and tries to push this, creativity to you that you wouldn't normally think of when you're listening to music. Between, Light Tunnels, where we see him discuss just this stark contrast from some of his other music, where he was a self-made, rapper, and really what it's like to, finally feel this final accomplishment and realize that it's not everything that he thought.
Okay, well, I'm impressed. I've never given Macklemore much credit to just basing on appearance, which now I feel ashamed of doing. But I will give it an honest go. So.
And my final form of media, I would be dumb to not go down the video game track. I think that it's very fitting that I make you play a video game.
Well, I'll tell you right now, I'm equipped to play PC games and Switch games. So. And
what would you say your preferred genre is? Because I have a couple of different answers depending on those.
So the gaming PC I have is pretty well built and is equipped to play almost anything via Steam or whatever. And besides the Nintendo Switch, I have like a GameCube and a Wii U, but that's it. But I do use the Switch frequently. I like puzzles, strategy. I hate first-person shooters. I'm just no good at it. I'm not quick enough, I don't think. I've been playing a lot of Plague Inc. lately, too. I really like
There's
that.
a lot of irony in that.
Yeah, there is, yes. That's the whole reason I found out about the game. Because apparently the sales
No
were
pun
soaring.
intended. I really want to see you play an FPS. But I'm going to actually take something a little bit more archaic. It's going to be a little bit different. It's going to be a kind of an RPG that doesn't take itself very seriously. It's a bit older. They're remaking it this year. It's a game called Destroy All Humans.
I've heard of it, and I know what it is, but I never played it.
Destroy All Humans, Destroy All Humans 2, the choice is yours. I'm not sure which one's on Steam. I think only one of them is. Because the other one, I think Destroy All Humans 2 is, because Destroy All Human 1 was taken down because of the new one coming out. Easily one of those games that I played well below the threshold to the rating, but I have so many fond memories of playing that game, and I'm sure that when I come back and play it during the remake, it will let me down. But I'm hoping not so much.
Great. These are all things that, like I said, I've been meaning to get around to. So I'm really happy you suggested them. I think that's where we're going to break for today, and we will meet back again in about a week or two and figure out what we did or didn't like. Thank you so much for joining me today, Bryce. Like I said, you can check out his Twitch streams, so I'll throw the links in the description of this video, and stay tuned because we'll be right back. See you next time.
Sounds good. See you next time.
And we're back. It has been a couple weeks, actually. We've both been very, very busy, but I am happy to say that we've done our mission that we set out to accomplish, and we've reviewed just about everything that we suggested each other check out. And now we're going to hear for the first time what we each think of the things that we got to check out. How you doing, Bryce?
Oh, I'm fantastic.
Nice to have you back. Glad we could do this again. Why don't we start with television? You had strong-armed me as the 100th person to get me to watch Tiger King, to which I did. I finally got around to it. I gave it a fair chance. I watched a whole episode. They're not short, they're long. And I will give you credit. The first time I turned it on, I turned it off, and I was like, I don't know, I don't like it. But I went and revisited it because you told me to check it out, and I am glad that I watched the full episode that I did. I think it was a lot more engaging than I had anticipated, and there were some twists and turns, and I know that there's some good stuff coming too on the horizon. So, do I think it deserves all the hype it's getting? I'm pretty sure if we all weren't trapped inside, it wouldn't be getting as much attention as it is, but regardless, well timed on Netflix's part. I enjoyed it. It's cool. I love weird shit, rabbit holes like that, and interesting people like that, that almost seems scripted, but it's not.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, I watched it the first time I sat down, and it was one of those things where it's like, okay, this is kind of
like, how could it even possibly get any weirder? And then
yeah, and then it does, and then it gets weirder, and then it gets weirder, and then it gets weirder, and then you're like, okay, you gotta stop, and then it gets even weirder, and you're like, all right, this is too much. I can't keep up with
this anymore. Yeah, I definitely have the feeling that the further into the series, I'm gonna have to walk away at some points and just like process what I'm hearing and what I'm seeing.
It's like coming out of battle sometimes. You're like, what did I just see?
Let me shake it off for a second. But yeah, I think it's unfair for me to give it a rating yet because I haven't finished the series, which I could probably do in the next couple of days. But from what I saw, probably 6.5, 7 out of 10, I would say. We're going to rate these out of 10, by the way.
Okay.
So tell me about your television show.
So I got the opportunity to watch Dexter, something I've kind of been putting off. Dexter had some interesting things that I didn't actually think about. Definitely put a different perspective on the whole, I don't want to say the whole serial killer thing, because that's not, but the whole murder mystery thing, because if you look at it from the perspective of like somebody who's in law enforcement or whatever, the typical cop show, you're like, oh, this thing happens. Oh, it's got to be, so-and-so doing whatever in the hall with a candlestick or whatever, But you watch Dexter, and it's interesting because there's a different perspective to it. He's looking at it from the serial killer's perspective, and he almost gets jealous. And I think that's kind of funny. It's ironic how, the cop is also the serial killer, which I think is kind of cool. It's a different twist that I wasn't expecting, but only being able to get into about 4 episodes just because of, everything going on. I thought it was very interesting. I would give it probably a solid 7 out of 10. If I had the opportunity to watch it all the way through, I'm sure that rating would change either for the worse or for the better, because it is an HBO series.
That's great. No, yeah, it definitely has layers. It has your typical, there's layers of comedy, real crime, law, element that's satirical at some points. It is, haunting and in some of the imagery and the crimes too. You got a guy who's in law enforcement who is a murderer who's constantly running from law enforcement, which is also trying to figure out this other murderer, and there's like it just circles and circles around. But it's a blast to watch. Probably the show that I binged the hardest the first time I watched it. I would spend hours watching all episodes of Dexter. So I'm glad you enjoyed it for the most part. Now, to talk about movies, you definitely knocked it out of the park, and I'm kicking myself for not having seen it sooner, but Kill Bill, man, that was so good. I immediately watched the second one, literally right after I finished the first one, and it's not a short movie, but I've got to really make sure I see all of Tarantino's. Now, let's see, I tried to remember. I saw Django, I saw Reservoir Dogs, I saw The Hateful Eight, I saw this, Kill Bill 1 and 2, and I'm definitely forgetting more. But I've seen enough. Reservoir Dogs? Is that
Pulp Fiction?
Yeah. Pulp Fiction. I've seen Pulp Fiction. Yep. Yeah. Well, I got to make sure I haven't missed anything because for whatever reason I avoided it. I just thought just the way it looked, it wasn't going to be for me. But no, 9.5 out of 10.
Yeah. Once Upon a Time in Hollywood is another one that you should check out. It's Tarantino's most recent installment, and after a little while of watching Tarantino's stuff, you start to find out that there's patterns. You can pick up on them, like the cigarette brands are the same, and he puts it all in the same universe, and you can actually start to connect characters to their grandparents and their ancestry, and it's really, really cool. But you really gotta immerse yourself for that.
Nice.
So falling in love with Pulp Fiction for me and Kill Bill and the Tarantino universe was something that I would do 100 times over.
Strong rewatchability, all of his movies. Yeah.
Oh yeah. Oh, absolutely. So I got A Cabin in the Woods. That was the movie that you had asked that I watch, and I'd never seen it, and I sat down with my girlfriend to watch it, and the entire time I wasn't expecting things to continuously go the way. Like at first I was like, oh, it's a play on a horror movie where like actually, it's just people doing the classic horror movie thing where they go into a place that they're not supposed to, and then there's the twist and that it's actually like orchestrated, and then there's another twist and that it's orchestrated by like a higher power and like a third, and that like the M. Night Shyamalan kind of double twist really kind of caught me off guard. I wasn't prepared for that. I was prepared to like watch A Cabin in the Woods and it'd be like, oh, insert ghoul or something here that attacks people. But it was like, insert corporate America puppeteering the ghoul, which is actually being puppeteered by some sort of evil, which I thought was very, very cool. It's a very bird's eye view instead of just the...
It subverts expectations many times throughout the movie, which is great. And that's another one that, in the future, if you were to recommend it to somebody, again, don't give them any information ahead of time. Just say Cabin in the Woods, and they're going to do the same. They're going to think, okay, it's a bunch of teenagers going to the woods, somebody's going to get chopped up and killed, and it's just going to end. There's going to be one survivor left. It's going to be the girl, and, that's it. No, it's anything but ordinary, and really fun. So what would you rate it?
I would rate it a solid 7 out of 10. The only reason I would say it could have been better is, acting was pretty good. I liked the plot. I thought it was good. I think that at times the movie showed its cards a little too much.
Okay.
Like, I thought like the scene where they're in the basement and they're like going for literally every haunted object. I'm sitting there with my girlfriend and I'm like, they're like, the first like thing that would go through my mind is just don't go in the basement, And they go in there, but that's classic horror movie thing. But then it was like, oh come on, like you could tell that they were setting it up for something, and I thought that the showing of the cards was kind of comical, but that was the only, like, it kind of detracted a lot of like the suspense that came into it when that happened. I was like, my brain put 2 plus 2 plus 2 plus 2 together, and somehow we came out to a decision. I don't think I saw the ending coming, like I said, but
yeah, it's really out there. We won't spoil anything,
Yeah.
but well, I'm glad you enjoyed it. Yeah, it's something I should watch again. I haven't seen it in a while. Moving on to music next. You had spoken very strongly about this Macklemore album, The Heist, and I don't know what my expectations were. I thought, it was going to be thrift shop all across the board, right? Like just this gimmicky, kind of catchy stuff. And yeah, there's a splash of it in there. I mean, literally, the song's in there in the album. But there were a lot of standouts to me. Songs that I knew were mainstream, but were still good anyway, even regardless of whether they made it mainstream or not. But some of the deep tracks, like some of the lesser known titles, I was really vibing with. They're incredibly well produced, well written, well performed. It's nice to see artists that are more than just a musical artist. They sort of put a performance into their work, and you can tell when they're being passionate about a subject. I think some of my standout tracks, let's see, 10,000 Hours, what is this, Witness, Can't Hold Us, of course, and of course Thrift Shop too. But I think a lot of them sort of blended pretty well together for me, and I don't know what I expected, but it was better than what I expected. Whatever it was. But I enjoyed it overall as a hit. I hardly ever listen to just straight up hip hop albums like that, but I was pleasantly surprised. So I'll give it probably 7.5 out of 10, maybe an 8 even.
excellent. Yeah. So I mean, that album, The Heist, for me was one of those albums that I really connected with. 10,000 Hours is kind of one of those things that. I mean, I never read Malcolm Gladwell, but when you put it in that kind of catchy tune with the deeper message, for me it was a no-brainer. So I'm happy you liked that one. So I listened to Days of Future Past by the Moody Blues, and that was different. It was great because it was one of those things where you could put it on while you were studying, while you were driving.
Exactly what I did when I listened to it. Yeah.
And it was awesome for me because it wasn't, I didn't, with a lot of the music that I find myself listening to that's instrumental or, kind of this, I don't necessarily want to say it's all instrumental because there's definitely some vocals in it, but you can tune in and you can put your headphones on and you can kind of feel disconnected but not dazed. So it wasn't like a situation where I'd put music on and I felt like I was ready to go to sleep. It was, listening to the Moody Blues, I felt active, I felt close to it. And the only reason I'm not referring to songs on their own is because the flow was so perfect that I hit this rhythm where I would listen to it and I could put it down and pick it back up. And even if it was in the middle of a song, I was still able to, keep my vibe going with it. And I think that that's an important part of what makes music is the ability to put down something and feel the artist again the minute you pick it back up. And that's something that's very, very sparse, especially when you get into new age and new wave music. Beethoven.
It feels almost a little like a musical like a theater musical where it has reoccurring themes throughout the time. You'll hear certain bits of a song play throughout other parts of other songs as it keeps going on, and that's why it's so well connected and produced. To what I'd like to know, would you be interested in hearing more of them, you think, or at least what would you rate this album?
I would rate this album a solid 8 out of 10. It earned a spot in my Spotify library, which is
look at that.
that's an impressive feat on its own. I think that I'm probably going to listen to it more when I'm in an ability, well, I shouldn't say in an ability, but in a mindset where I can actually take my foot off the gas.
Right.
So it's one of those albums that you can put it on and you feel at peace. You feel comfortable, you feel you it erodes any of the tension, and I like that. I mean, it creates its own.
Sound like a fucking hippie.
Yeah. like a hippie. Exactly.
Yeah. Well, that's cool. That's definitely the vibe they were going for. So glad you were able to identify with it like that. And it's nice to revisit. It's such a special and rare thing to find something old that you've missed and get to experience it like it's new for the first time.
I think,
like what Kill Bill with me. That movie's been around forever, but I got so excited because I got to witness it as a fan for the first time, and even well after the fact, it still holds up over time. So.
Oh, absolutely. I felt I was in the kind of same boat when I listened to Dark Side of the Moon the first time.
Yeah.
And I think the other thing that would have played into the way that I interpret Days of Future Past would have been the medium I listened to it. So I think that, utilizing digital stuff, like I listened to it on a pair of Bluetooth 5.0 headphones, and that felt nice, but when I put it on in my car and I was able to play with the equalizer a little bit more, that gave it an entirely different vibe. So, like, had I been able to listen to it on, say, something like vinyl, which would have been its
oh, hell yeah.
It would have its entirely different sound, stage or schedule, whatever you want to call it. It would slap a little differently, and I think that's an impressive feat that a lot of hip hop productions now, and some rock productions, you put it into any set of cans and it sounds the same, or at a concert it sounds the same, but this is dynamic, and different parts come through with different intensity, and I thought that was really, really amazing.
Well, that's sweet. I really appreciate that, and I'm glad you liked it. Now, for our fourth thing, we each ran into a little bit of a roadblock, but I think we've come to some compromises here. I really wanted you to check out Tetris 99, not only because it's possibly my favorite game at the moment, but you said you were going on about how, you're good at battle royales, and this is technically a battle royale. What I didn't realize at the time is that it's a Nintendo Switch exclusive, and I wasn't about to have you run out and actually just go and buy a Switch for this. So, tell them what you did instead.
Even though I almost did.
Yeah. Oh.
I played a little bit of Tetris on my own, and I played a battle royale against myself. I'm not fantastic at it, and to be honest with you, I played it probably, I think, 2 days after we had actually discussed that being the thing. So I can't even recall my score. I thought I took a picture of it, but I'm looking through my gallery and I don't have it. But I actually achieved my new high score. I remember that because I did message the people who would watch me in a specific class play Tetris. Don't do that, kids. It's not good for your education. But and they laughed at me hysterically because it was the highest I had ever gotten, but I was still at half the score of one of my friends. So
right, it's timeless. It's no matter what version of it, and the Tetris Corporation and the games have really outdone themselves with titles like Tetris Effects too. But there's hundreds of different versions of the game actually, but this Tetris 99 was so much fun because not only is it a battle royale and it's fun, it's very fast paced, and I really like that. But also they do these promotional events where if there's like an upcoming Nintendo Switch title coming out, they will redesign the board in which the game is played, and it'll have new artwork and new music to reflect like the upcoming, like they did one for like Luigi's Mansion. I think they did one for like the anniversary of the Kirby franchise. Yeah, no, they get really cool and creative. Plus, you just can't beat the classic Tetris theme too.
Oh yeah,
it's catchy as all hell.
Yeah, it's
now, on the other hand here, I'm supposed to check out Destroy All Humans, a game that I've heard about forever and really wanted to play, but as it turns out, they don't have it for the Switch yet. But they do have it for Steam. But it is not available yet. But I will have you know that as a compromise, I have officially pre-ordered the game, and I will be playing it. And I'm hoping that when I do play it for the first time, you'll come back and maybe join me on a live stream. We can play together. How does that sound?
That sounds excellent. Yeah, I originally they had said that it was going to be launching in late Q2, early Q3. So they were saying that it should have been launching around June, May area, and I was hoping it would come out in April. Yeah. They did have Destroy All Humans 2 on Steam, which I believe was $7. But I think that Destroy All Humans is one of those games that you're gonna play into it, and you're gonna see the way that the characters, flow. The scripting is one of those things that you would just you'll laugh over. You'll go and get a bowl of chips, and they'll call you out on that.
I'm just on a real. I typed Destroy All Humans into Steam, and I've got the one I was talking about that I pre-ordered, but I don't see any other version of it.
Excuse my super clicky keyboard here. I gotta just input all of my Steam verification.
Because if that's the case, then I'll check it out.
Oh, absolutely. I will make sure. Yeah, I'm not gonna be that kind of guy that's like.
Now we gotta re-record now. Yeah. Yeah.
Come back in an hour after you've played the game.
Beat the whole thing.
No. Beat the whole thing. You've got an hour. They did have this on here. I'm nearly positive that they had it. They must have taken it off for the new game.
I want you to issue a public apology right now.
I'm dumb. I stand corrected.
You let them all down.
I would like to apologize to everyone. Even you guy in the back. I don't know why, but I'm sorry.
Well, you can make it up for me by playing it with me when the game actually comes out.
No doubt.
But that'll be something fun to do over this summer too.
Oh, absolutely.
For sure.
Yeah, I'm gonna try to. First thing I'm gonna try to do this summer is I'm gonna actually start to try to get on the Valorant Pro scene. That's gonna be my new stick.
Real quick before we go, you want to plug some of your stream stuff?
Oh, absolutely. Yeah. So come check me out for Niagara University Esports. It's going to be twitch.tv/NiagaraU Esports. And if you're feeling extra, feeling the extra love for me, feel free to follow my personal Twitch, which will be twitch.tv/OnlyAyt. OnlyAyt. Eventually, I'm going to be getting involved in a lot more stuff. You'll see me a lot more. And, just keep supporting local businesses, staying healthy, and make sure you mask up and wash your hands due to this COVID-19.
Always. Well said. Thank you so much, Bryce. I really appreciate you coming on. This was fun to do, and I'm glad we got to check out some cool stuff. So until next time, my friend, I would love to link up with you again in the next couple of months here. But, we both got very busy schedules. You're a busy man, I understand. And I hope you enjoy the rest of your school year, which is going to be coming to an end very soon. And hopefully I'll have this episode up before that happens. But thank you once again. Thank you, everybody who listened. I really appreciate it. Stay tuned. We've got more episodes on the way, and I will catch you all next time. Bye.
See ya.